Okay, I really hope this works. Hi, my name is Denny Cards. I am your host for this new podcast called The Hobby Hangout. I am here with our very first guest of this new podcast. His name is Ryan McCormick. Before I allow him to introduce himself and what he does, I wanted to say some of you who are, fans or supporters of the Card Diary by Habeas Thompson, I didn't really mention this in my Instagram post promoting this first episode and this new podcast. But I wanted to let you know that podcast is not going away. It's not like I've decided to end it. I will say that it was meant to be a limited podcast series in the beginning, but then I started having so much fun with it. I just kept going, and there are just so many people to learn from in the hobby. This hobby space is quite small in the grand scheme of things when it comes to like other hobbies, like Pokemon TCG, but not just cards, but if someone wanted to like be like a huge influencer, they would do cooking, beauty, uh, workout stuff. Like there are these so many things that people can do to be like a bigger voice in social media and all that. So having said that, I wanted to say thank you so much for people who are here. I will get to the chat in a bit. I'm going to start typing things in, but that podcast is not going away. I The difference is that this one is going to be less stuffy. It's going to be more fun. It's going to be nothing against my past podcast, but I feel like I've gotten better as a podcast host. And I think that I can maybe just have it more casual and more topical. That's the other thing. I felt like the Card Diary was just more evergreen. It was just more like kind of maybe more introspective or more like, just a little bit more slow. I'm going to try to keep the pace quicker on this one. This one, not that our guest today is going to do this a lot, but I am going to put an explicit language label on this podcast, and so people can curse however much they want, but not just for no reason, but for like sometimes we got a lot of passion, right, Ryan? We got a lot of passion.
Definitely, definitely. Passion is
Yeah.
good.
The other thing is this is going to be live. I'm going to try my absolute best to make this Sunday 9 p.m. every Sunday 9 p.m. unless I'm sick, traveling, or even if I don't have a guest, I want to have people who are in the chat. If they want to come on, they can come on. But I want to try to keep as much consistency as possible. So I want audience participation, whether it's in the chat or whether it's coming on in the StreamYard link, which I'm going to share down below in the chat real soon. And the last thing is, I do want to try to make this more of a sponsored content. It's not going to be coming, hammering down your lane. It's more of like, like I do. There are expenses when it comes to podcasts. Like I have a StreamYard link, and I have expenses when it comes to creating content. So I guess not only is it our first guest, but he is also the sponsor of this particular first episode, the inaugural episode of the Hobby Hangout. And Ryan McCormick is the show promoter for the Mid Atlantic Card Show. So welcome, Ryan.
Thank you, Danny. Great to be with you. You've been killing it with your other podcast. So excited to be the first guest on this one, and like the format you're drawing up. Sure, it'll be a lot of fun.
Thank you so much. So yeah, I definitely want to keep it more casual and topical. You actually, I actually didn't mention this to you when I asked you, could we do this tonight? One, I didn't tell you it was going to be a new podcast. I thought maybe you might have thought that it would have been, the other podcast. But secondly, you inspired me actually in a way to do this type of platform or this type of different, more topical, maybe more kind of like fun way, because I had you on as a guest to talk about the show promotion earlier on before your February show, which we're going to talk about and how it went. But you, instead of like talking a lot about your show, you just really ended up talking about like your collection and being a collector. And I just thought, I shouldn't be so rigid and narrow focused as a host about, this is what we must talk about. So, I think what I want to do with this podcast is for the first 10 to 15 minutes, kind of throw it on to the guest. We can talk about whatever you want to talk about. Certainly we'll talk about your next show coming up May 3rd and all that. And, please provide tips as to what people might want to, if they want to like learn how hard or how, like all the logistics when it comes to be a show promoter. But then I would definitely like to kind of get people in and out of the chat and on the live stream, and we can talk about what's happening this past week in the hobby. How does that sound with you?
Sounds great.
Awesome. All right. So the floor is yours. I'm going to tend to the chat, but I definitely will be listening in.
Yeah, well, sounds good. I didn't actually prepare anything for this evening, but I can riff a little bit about the Mid Atlantic show. Happy to do so. It's been kind of a passion of mine for the last few years now. So we've done 10 at this point. We've done 10 shows. We started back in October of 2022, and we host a show in the Silver Spring Civic Center in downtown Silver Spring, inside the Washington D.C. Beltway. And we've been doing it quarterly. That's kind of the pattern we've gotten into now, and I think we're going to stick with that. We do a show basically every few months. And the one thing that's kind of changed recently is we've expanded the show. So we actually started out in one room, then we moved to 2 rooms, and now we're renting out the entire building. So the May show will actually be back to where we were with 100 tables and the first couple rooms. But going forward after that, we're going to be setting up throughout the entire Civic Center building. So it's a family business. We have a lot of fun. It's myself, my wife, my 3 kids, and my kids range from 4 years old to 17 years old. So a good mix. And then they have some friends that join us and help out with the show as well. We've gotten into not just cards, but autograph signings more recently. So we've had a few guests at this point. They all have been former Washington Redskins stars. We're going to branch out a little bit in May into basketball, which I'm really excited about. I'm going to have a childhood hero of mine, Adrian Dantley, which was one of the great players of the 1980s. So he wasn't one of the Boston Celtics or the Los Angeles Lakers or the Chicago Bulls, but he was definitely one of the greats during his run with several different teams, including the Detroit Pistons during the kind of bad boys era of the mid 1980s. So he's actually local here in the DC area. So Adrian Dantley is going to be our guest in May. And I also want to say, DC has been all about football, I'd say, for the last 8 months. People are just super excited about the Washington Commanders and Jaden Daniels and kind of rebirth of that whole franchise. A lot of excitement there. But I purposely wore my Caps jersey this evening, Denny, because the Capitals, in case you haven't noticed, are on fire right now. They are the second best record in the NHL. They've been on a tear. They've done it all season without TJ Oshie. They are, we'll see obviously how it goes with the playoffs, but they're a lot of fun. I think I haven't been to that many Caps games, but I definitely recommend if for those viewers out there, if you haven't been to a hockey game and a Capitals game in particular, put it on your list of things to do. There's nothing more exciting and fun than a Washington hockey game. So I just want to throw some love to the Capitals, because sometimes we forget about hockey in the hobby, but that's a franchise that's been on a tear recently. So
that's really interesting, because I would agree. When we talk about the 4 major sports, when we talk about baseball, I mean, I will admit, as a content creator, I'll put in the hashtags and I'll put in baseball card. Baseball cards is for anyone else who's making content on YouTube. When I look at my hashtags and what gets the most hits out of basketball cards, baseball cards, football cards, hockey cards, baseball cards is number 1. Baseball cards is really like the absolute foundation of the hobby, going back to the oldest cards. It's, the vintage, like people don't really care a lot about vintage football yet. Maybe it could happen, but I love basketball. You look back here, you're about to have a guest, Adrian Dantley. Like I'm wearing the Linsanity hat. I love basketball. Basketball is my main lane. Nothing against the people I've interviewed so far through your show. I missed Dexter Manley, who was your first autograph guest. But then you had Gary Clark, who was awesome. That guy was so cool. He was so smooth and cool, very charismatic. Same thing with Santana Moss. Like those two, it didn't seem like it was a bother to them to have like a 5-minute chat. They were very kind and generous, and they were just, like they got a good sense of humor as well. So that's important, I think, for someone who's, who I'm not like well versed in interviewing athletes, but it's so much easier when there's like a little bit of like instant chemistry, right? That instant, not like, stilted, and it's really difficult to get, some answers out of them. So, but I'm really excited for Adrian Dantley. I already have a list of questions in my head, what I want to ask him. But having said that, like basketball is my main lane, but hockey really gets no love. I mean, shout out to my card post, who is, they were originating with hockey cards, but they've, certainly expanded. But when I think about those hashtags and the hits and the the social media consumption. Like, how many times, other than like maybe like that Connor Bedard chase, have we seen hockey on our Instagram feeds? Right? No one's going like, bang, Connor McDavid, Oviato. Like, no one, you don't see that. It's always an ultra modern quarterback, or a hot new, like a Wemby thing, right?
Yeah, hockey's not. I mean, I think hockey is like baseball in that it's got a real collector base, whereas football, there's a lot of flipping, of course, in football throughout the football season, leading up to the season and in the playoffs. And kind of the same with basketball. And I think with both and it's interesting that that's where you get the most traffic or the most hits are the baseball collectors. I think that those are, people that are much more into it just for the love of the cardboard as much as it is, watching values change. I think it's the same thing with hockey. I mean, hockey is regional, obviously, and it's obviously a northern sport predominantly, but in Canada, but the collector base is really strong there. I haven't learned that much about it. I've picked up a little bit here and there. Yeah. I can remember guys from the 1980s, also like guys like Mario Lemieux and obviously Gretzky, of course, is the great one. But yeah, I mean, I honestly, I couldn't count that many hockey players, but the hockey games themselves are very exciting. And, I don't know how that will translate necessarily into the hobby. Obviously, there's a tremendous amount of excitement about OV and breaking the record. I don't know if that offers that much opportunity in terms of investing in cards at this point, because it's kind of a foregone conclusion, I think, that he's going to break Gretzky's record. But people, he's always going to have a very fond, a big following in the DC area.
Absolutely. Before I get to the chat, and two things I want to do. One, I totally forgot the intro tagline, because this is our first episode and I rushed. You and I both had a little bit of a laptop battery issue where we had to scramble for some charging. But what I wanted to say, Hobby Hangout, welcome to the Hobby Hangout. This is for the audience and you as well, Ryan. Grab your favorite hard or soft drink of choice and let's hang out. So tonight I will say, not sponsored by, Topo Chico Hard Seltzer. This is lemon lime, tangy lemon lime. I feel that I definitely taste the tangy. But let's get to the chat here a little bit. And again, I will put the chat, the StreamYard link down below once around in about like 5-10 minutes. So got J2 Comics and Cards saying hello, everyone. Connor says hello. Penguin Yes says hi, Denny. Brian Janik says hey all. That's Goat Sports, who has been a previous podcast guest on the Card Diary. We got Authentic Sports Card Dad, who every time I see that name, a little part of me is like,
great photo there too. So
totally not AI generated.
Yeah,
Ryan, totally not.
Denny, let me say, your first person you put up there, J2 Comics, and I forget, it might be Joseph, or I forget his both his first and last name begin with J. I'm forgetting his full name.
Yeah, if you want to put it in the chat, I'll put it in there. Great too.
He did some great video content for when he was at the Mid-Atlantic show, which I was really grateful for, because we were so busy that I completely forgot. I personally didn't take any photos or videos at the last show. But he was kind enough to let me use some of his footage for our kind of advertising for the next show. So he's really appreciate his participation in the show and the stuff he's doing online as well.
That's Ryan's way of saying I did not do a good enough job with the videography and the photography. You pay people like me to do it. No, I try to get the vlog up so fast, but I did not realize how crazy, like, Topps Hobby Rip Night was like the week right after that, and like just personal life stuff and just everything. It's so much stuff that happens in the hobby every single week. It's like I want to be proactive, and yet sometimes when it comes to content creation, I feel like I'm like reactive. I just feel like I have to do something just to address something that just came out, and it's just. But no, I hope you did like what I produced for February, and I hope that I knock it out of the park for May as well.
Yeah, Denny, you got into some extended deals there, and it was fun to watch and see how those all went down. And some of them were consummated, and some were not, as I recall. But it was very real. It was recorded in real time, and I appreciate you putting those up. Those were really
absolutely. And I definitely want to do more stuff with the vendors. I think you may have seen in my first part, I had the plan. And as soon as you walk in, it's like Mike Tyson has that quote, like, everyone has a plan when you get in the ring until you get punched in the face. And it's like, I did not know when I came in that I might help out with the tickets. And, I didn't realize that TCG Village would be so busy that I couldn't even get, in front of a vendor, unless I wanted to wait like 30 minutes. I didn't realize that, there was going to be like this table where I could just end up talking to people and people would stop by and talk to me. Like, that's what really, but that's the beauty of these shows. And that's the beauty of, like, that's what I love about making content is I just go where the wind takes me. And so, as a promoter, you've been very kind to me and you've been very like understanding. And so, but next one, I definitely want to focus more. Hey, maybe I'll even be a vendor and I'll do a vendor POV vlog, just set up as because I definitely have a lot of cards that just have lost meaning to me throughout the months and years. So.
Yeah, I think that'd be fun. I mean, it's honestly, I don't have a lot of experience on the other side of the table, so I haven't done a lot of vending myself. I'm basically a collector turned show promoter, right? So, but I think that when I have more time, I mean, I have young kids, it's very challenging right now, but when time opens up, I definitely want to get more into the vending side of things too. And I suspect you're kind of in a similar situation.
Absolutely. It sure is. All right. So Connor says, congrats on 800 subs, Denny. Thank you so much, Connor, for being here. I'd like to know what your name is on Instagram, because I'm like, I feel like I know which Connor this is, but as we know, I mean, just from Connor McDavid, Connor Bedard, there's so many Connors out there. So Authentic says, love to hear about the May show and beyond, which we will definitely get into in a moment here. I'd like to recommend a recycle or drop-off option. Very good, especially because my recent content, I was like, I'm like driving around to like senior citizen homes and libraries to donate my base. But I think I like that idea. I mean, I would even, I don't want to be the good idea fairy and just say, hey, you should do it, Ryan. But then, if you want help with it, I would certainly be glad to be, someone who kind of helps with that as well.
Like recycling cards, I take it. Is that the idea?
Right. Like, I mean, again, people drop off or recycle anything, but
yeah, I mean, I'm very open to that. I honestly don't know who wants them and where to take them, but if somebody does know that, it would be very easily, I'm sure, to bring in a lot of cards at our show from if we marketed that in advance and encouraged people to bring in. I have boxes that I'd be happy to. Honestly, in the past, I've thrown away basically like old 80s junk wax stuff just because I didn't think anybody really actually wanted it. But, but if the newer stuff, the base cards and those things, that if there's a place for it, we should definitely find a home for
I feel like if you gave anyone who was born past the year 2000, like, 80s cards, they would just be like, yeah, thanks. But even if it's base cards, again, if it's not, so long as it's not a kid who has like a ton of money in the hobby, but I think kids appreciate even just base cards, just, if it's players they know. But that's why, and that's kind of the silly thing is I intentionally went to a senior citizens home thinking, man, what if these people would really appreciate like a random, like, what's his name? Yaz. Oh, I don't know why that's the name that came through my head. I couldn't even finish out the last name. Yastrzemski.
Carl Yastrzemski?
Because his son is Mike, right? That's the newer one.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, and then some older names, older like players that they wouldn't know from like that the kids wouldn't know. So anyway, I thought that might put a smile on their face, but of course I didn't get to like see what they would have actually like, what they I didn't get to talk to any senior citizens is what I meant to say.
Well, let me say this about junk wax. So we give away free packs to kids at the door, and a lot of that stuff is old junk wax. And some people poo-poo it like, these kids don't care about it. But a lot of the kids that are coming in with their parents. And actually, they really do enjoy, my experience, the feedback that we've been getting for the most part is that the kids really do like getting these old packs, and they open them with their parents or whoever they're there with. And I'll say this too, at the shows, we always have a ton of people that actually try to buy that stuff off of us too. So they're, we've got, I load up on like late 1980s junk wax boxes to give away as freebies. There's always a bunch left at the end of the show, and inevitably there are people trying to buy that stuff. So,
oh wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So let's continue with this a little bit more. So I'm just gonna say his name. This is Ziggy. So Ziggy says, "I have lots of base to donate, old top loaders, etc. Recycle. Recycle Center would be a great reason to hit a show. Again, giving anyone, any member of the public more reason to come to a show, I think is great." J2 says cards for vets or something like that. I like that idea. I didn't really think about a veteran center, but definitely let's chat about that more, J2. And so
We'll do it. We'll find a way. We'll do a recycling center at the. We'll recycle, figure out what to do with them, and have a plan going into May.
Awesome. Yeah, let's definitely do that. Liam McCormick, I highly doubt that this is someone related to you in any way, shape, or form. Aloha from Maui, says Liam.
Yeah. So that's my brother's across the world. He lives out in Maui with his family. He's lived there for a long time, and he connected me with a collector out there. I feel badly because we haven't connected much beyond that, but there actually are I can confirm from Liam that there are card collectors in the islands of Hawaii.
Nice. I love it. We have here Choi's Collectibles. It says, if Korean vets come to the show, please let me know. Hey, man, Choi's Collectibles has to be Korean. Choi is a Korean last name. I mean, I'm presuming. I mean, I'm like 98.9% sure. All right. So Connor says, we met at GameStop. I had the Patrick Mahomes cards. Now I know which Connor this is. Thank you so much. Connor, when I made the GameStop videos, Ryan, like this kid, he goes, yeah, I got some cards I'm gonna grade with PSA, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll take a look. And most of the time it's just kind of like cards that are like ranging $10 to $100 cards, because that's what I think most first timer people who are submitting through GameStop through PSA are. They're not like really like grizzled veterans, like like the people who we know who submit very frequently, like they have their own accounts, they go through group subbers. So I think the PSA entry point is really for like the more newer casual or people who have coming back into the hobby and they haven't submitted before. So Connor, the amazing thing about Connor is he collected as like a young teen, and maybe he can tell if he wants to jump on later, but basically he was like, yeah, I got these two Patrick Mahomes cards, and in my head I'm thinking, okay, 2023, 24, whatever. And there are two Patrick Mahomes rookie cards. One's the classic Don Russ rated rookie, and the other one was now Connor's going to tell me in the chat, but it was like Crusades. It was a Mahomes rookie, and I'm like, Connor, do you know what you have here? And he's like, I know Mahomes is really good, and rookie cards are good, but I'm like, these are like, people love
the Donruss rated rookie is a 4-figure card, I'm sure.
We talked about it, and I was like, look, I'm not going to try to give you an offer to try to buy these cards off you. Go through the grading process. I showed him why it might not get even an 8. Like I told him my guess was PSA 6 or 7, mainly because he literally found them in his like bedroom like drawer, like in the bottom of the drawer, so they were pretty beat up, but not to the point where they would get like PSA like 3, 4, or 5. Like, so my guess is like 6 to 7. And I was just like, man, I wish you well, keep me updated. So Connor, thank you for being here, and good luck with school. You don't stay up too late for this podcast. School's number one.
So Denny, what's the verdict on the training and experience of the GameStop employees? Are they equipped to take this stuff in?
Yeah, so great question. I would say, the thing I really liked about making the GameStop videos is I unintentionally or maybe intentionally, like, humanizing those employees, I think was really important. I didn't go in with the plan to do so, but in doing so, I've realized like they would tell me these stories about them getting so much abuse from the general public, or just rudeness, or people who are just like thinking that they're completely incompetent. I truly believe it comes down to the individual person, and the people who are working at the GameStop in Tyson's, I think, are very kind and knowledgeable. They even like called to let me know. Like, they even told me they watched my videos with, like, they're like, hey, we like you. We're learning more about cards. Some of them, they don't know anything about cards, but, it all comes down to, I think, the managers and the training and the support that they get, because they're not going to have all their answers all the time. And I'm sure they get a bevy of, a wide range of questions from the public where they're just like, we're going to have to call someone to get that answer for you. So I think when it comes to the quote unquote standard submission, where it's pretty straight, easy, especially the consumer knows what to do with like the penny sleeve and the card saver. I remember for Connor, I had to give him a card saver, but it was his first time. But I remember, so long as it's a pretty straightforward submission, I would say that, yeah, like it's pretty good. But if you're someone who, just doesn't know what's going on, or like has a lot of questions, or wants to know the intricacies, it may be a little bit tougher.
And are they still buying? Like they were buying cards too, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is where I'm gonna say, don't sell your cards to GameStop. That's the TLDR. They were giving me comps. They were giving me offers between like 50 to, at the high end, 70% of comps, and I was like, wow, this is these are not competitive offers. And that's why I think in one of my videos I was like, yeah, if you're trying to like, if people are like stealing cards and trying to fence them and like, liquidate without, like as quick as possible, I guess that's where they would get those kind of cards. But anyone who's like been in the hobby for a while would know that it would be much easier to go to a show like the Mid-Atlantic Card Show on May 3rd, sponsored by. So yeah, no, thank you for asking those good questions. So I'm gonna quickly catch up with the chat here. Penguin, yes, says you should dress up as Pikachu and post it. I'm not gonna say that website name, but thank you, Penguin. I guess he means for like oh no, I was gonna think about base card submissions. I don't know, maybe it could be sports and non-sports. Brian Goat Sports Cards asked, "You still thinking about the Gold Kaboom?" Man, that Sean Taylor Gold Kaboom from For the Family Cards was just absolutely amazing. J2 Card says that was a great promo video by Denny. Thank you so much. Skipping past here a little bit.
I just say on the Sean Taylor, all of those, I mean, I get the gold, right? Obviously very rare, but the non-gold ones, I mean, are really beautiful cards too. I think, in fact, I think that I think they just look better. With the kind of silver frame kind of thing going, but gold is obviously, unbelievable.
Absolutely. Gold and the Black Pandora out of 25. I definitely prefer the gold over the Black Pandora, but well, let's talk about this real quick. You got the downtowns, you got the kabooms, you have other case hits. I know you're not as much into the ultra modern, but do you have a preferred case hit style or design?
Not really. I mean, I don't play in that area so much. I mean, I feel like I guess my big question is what's going to happen to this stuff, post next fall, right? I mean, this stuff, Panini's kind of, they're out. So, it'll be very interesting to see what happens. And if all that stuff kind of maintains its popularity going forward, and how, what's Fanatics going to do? Is it going to try to replicate a lot of these designs or come up with their own stuff, or,
Right.
what's it going to look like?
Yeah, no, it's, much as I like to think that, how do I put this? Time will tell. I think that this next generation is really going to help dictate and tell us, like, it's funny. You got some of the older people like me who think that they have some influence or, some sort of platform, but these other people who feel like they have some sort of sway in the hobby, but like we don't. Like ultimately it comes down to the ground level. It comes down to all of the people who are in the chat, all the people who buy, sell, and trade, all those people who are bidding on cards, buying cards at shows. Like I think ultimately those folks are the ones who are the tastemakers, right? I mean, you think about music. No one cares what a 40-year-old thinks about music. It's all about what the teens want, right? And they're the ones who are like just in droves going to concerts, generating, maybe they're not earning money yet, but they're the future earners of America, and those are the ones. They're absolutely the ones I think who are going to tell us as a hobby, okay, we like downtowns more than kabooms, or we like kabooms more than downtowns. We don't like either of them. We want to, once Topps comes out, maybe they're like, wow, we grew up with Panini our whole lives, with football and basketball, and now we realize Topps's designs are much better. The quality control is better.
So I should know this, but what are the population counts like on those? I mean, they're not numbered generally. So
right.
What do we know? I mean, I haven't looked at like PSA population reports to try and understand what the actual numbers for those case hits are? Do you
Oh,
know?
I mean, I don't have, there's this one Instagram account. I think his name is called like the Card Channel, and he does like 90s print runs, like estimated print run based on total print. What is it? The most important thing I think he has to figure out is how many packs did they, or how many boxes and cases did they distribute way back in the 90s. But for things that don't have an actual serial number on them, he'll then go ahead and extrapolate with that data. See, I wanted Hobby Hangout to be kind of more casual. Now we're getting nerdy. But basically, he tries to estimate the number based upon what the production run was with like the number of the pack odds. The problem with Panini is there are no pack odds, right? I mean, that's the biggest problem. And then when it comes to the pop count, I mean, if you're talking about from like a grading standpoint, I think the newest PSA app, one of the best features they have is you can instantly find out the pop for like 8s, 9s, and 10s. So I know just from a couple of downtowns I have, because I recently looked them up to see if I could sell them. Like a Dan Marino 2023 Donruss downtown was like 300 something in the PSA 10 pop, and so and much more in PSA 9 and PSA 8 and all that stuff. So basically, they're not numbered. I think the thing that people really like is that you could pull them from retail as case hits, like a 20 blaster case of Donruss. You can get one case hit, but I mean, I guess that's the thing that attracts people to them is the ease, what is it called? Like you can buy them, and it's a cheaper lottery ticket than buying a hobby box.
I suspect a lot of it is with so much complexity in the newer brand releases and stuff that like kabooms, downtowns, or something people can make sense out of. So like the parallels just are ridiculous in my opinion with some of these newer releases, and it's very hard to in my opinion, it's very hard to keep up with them all. But everybody knows, understands, appreciates kind of those kabooms and downtowns and case hits and stuff. And so it's just like it's a way that you can kind of dismiss a lot of the other stuff that's gotten a little, in my opinion, getting a little like out of hand, and with the paralleling and
absolutely it is. The print runs are getting out of hand, but what's crazy is I don't blame any of these card companies because they're just meeting demand. It's almost like I think it is like lagging demand or lagging supply based on current demand, because they can't print on demand, I guess, other than Panini Instant Tops now, which is a whole nother, we may have to touch that another day because I want to move this forward. But I think that it's just the absolute voracious nature of us hobbyists. We're just the definition of a fanatic is someone who is just irrational. We are such an irrational bunch. So all right, let me get to some chat, and then I'm going to put the link in the StreamYard. I don't know if anyone's going to take me up on it. None of this is planned. Whoever jumps on. But here we go. Nuclear Piece of Fish says, I'm Logan. We also met at the GameStop. I'm the guy that's on the Rocket League ladder. I hope you have gotten past silver and gold, that you're on your way to platinum. Logan, thank you.
Is that Rocket League? Is that Rocket League the game?
Yeah. Do you know that?
That's my son's.
Your son's?
My son's favorite game. So yeah.
Should link them up. All right. Connor asked, do you think anyone's buying the Patrick Mahomes cards that they come back around a 6 or a 7 in PSA? Connor, for the right price, you can sell any card. That's what I've learned in this hobby. I mean, it's just a matter of, are you willing to go down to the prices that they want? So another thing is, for the right, if you find the right buyer, you can sometimes get the price you want. But it really, I mean, these cards, especially cards of that like iconic nature, like, just that Donruss pose. I just love that rated rookie. When they have that angle looking up and they're like throwing, I just love that. But yes,
definitely Connor, a market for Mahomes rookie 2017 Donruss rated rookie cards, PSA 6 or 7. Absolutely, there's a market for that.
Yeah, Connor, I promise to at least buy them at 50% comps. At least, I'll give you a better price than PSA. I'll say that. Penguin says, Denny, who's your favorite Pokemon? Ryan, do you have one before I answer? Do you have it? I mean, I don't know how much you know Pokemon.
I don't know Pokemon very well. I could throw out a couple of them, but I'd be, It'd be malpractice. I should not do
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
I do
right.
not know my Pokemon.
Well, Pikachu's the like the mascot. I want to say this. This is like so. It's because I play Pokemon Go with my kids. I'm gonna say Kyogre, Kyogre. That it's like a big like whale. It's like a legendary mythical Pokemon. I just like it because it's like big and slow. It's kind of like me. Like I could have said Snorlax, but I'm not like a complete like nap. Like I'm not a complete lazy person because I have too much energy sometimes. But yeah, so that's my favorite Pokemon. Penguin, yeah. Brian asks or says my favorite cards are Sapphire and color matches. Absolutely, Brian. Luke's Reddit story says, "I'm Luke. We also met at the game." Man, shout out to GameStop. Look at all of this love from GameStop. We have 14
you're
people.
networking at GameStop.
I love it. I'm Luke. We also met at GameStop. I submitted Gold Pikachu from Prismatic. It was my first time, and you helped a lot. Thank you so much, Luke. I really appreciate you saying that. Orange Slices. I thought about not putting this in here, but look, with so much hate I get on Instagram, I gotta show some shine to myself. Orange Slices, whoever you are, says, "Denny, you're so cute." And he says, "I love Rockets, but you were way out of my league." I love
you
that.
said he. You don't know it's a he.
She, he, or she. Yeah. Well, look at the profile pic. It's like someone drew I don't know, some brown hair.
Yeah.
Penguin, yeah, says Garchomp for him or her. Garchomp as their favorite Pokemon. And Jalen PWU says, "Hey, Denny, I've been going through a tough time. Watching you has always put a smile on my face. Keep up the good work." Jalen, hey, DM me if you're on Instagram. I'm sorry for whatever you're going through. I'm so glad that you said that, my content can put a smile on your face. Like, thank you so much. I am sorry you're going through a tough time. But hey, like, just know that, just take things day by day and, better days are to come. But thank you so much for your kind words. I really appreciate that. So now, as you speak, we can definitely talk about topics from this past week, but I did promise this in the chat. I can't believe we're already at like 36 minutes here, but let me go ahead and put the chat in, the StreamYard link down in the chat. So go ahead.
Denny, can I ask a Pokemon question?
Yes.
For your viewers in the chat, and also maybe can somebody explain to me what makes a Pokemon card move up or down, like, after it's been out for a couple of years or whatever? Like, obviously with sports cards, performance moves, players up or down. What moves a Pokemon card in value wise?
Okay, give me 1 second.
I asked a Pokemon person this, and they had no answer. So
I love that question. As we know, the classic saying goes that Pokemon. Oh, hold on. Oh man, I was trying to do this chat correctly. I hope it went through. I hope it's a clickable link, is what I'm trying to say. The StreamYard link. My opinion. Okay, so the classic saying is Charizard can't rip his Achilles. Pikachu can't show guns in a Instagram live. Blastoise isn't going to try to do something off the court that's terrible. So I gotta say, I think it comes down to the case. It comes down to the desirability by the public. When, again, like I don't know, I know there's this thing called SIR, special illustration rares. There are these certain things that people really covet, and they just become like really in high demand, like that Moonbreon. Sometimes it, much like athletes, I think it comes down to like the narrative or the theme or the tale that people can create about that player or the card.
So over time, the Pokemon becomes more popular than it started out. The particular character.
I would love. I got some people who are in backstage who may be talking on that. I love that. Let's see. I don't know. Some of these people, I have no clue there. I've never met them, so I'm gonna see what's about to happen.
Lewis? You just put
Lewis, definitely. Yeah, Lewis.
Okay,
Lewis with Public Kingdom, absolutely. So let's bring on. This is our first ever random guest. This is Matthew G. I don't know.
Oh.
I just keep your shirt on, please. Don't do anything inappropriate. But no, hey, welcome to the Hobby Hangout, Matthew.
Thank you so much for inviting me onto the back end of the stage.
Yeah. So, what do you specialize in? Are you about to help answer? I see maybe like 2 yellow ears on your sweatshirt. Is that a Pikachu?
No.
Oh no, it's an M. It's Michigan. This is how much I don't know who you are. So, are you a Michigan sports fan then?
Yes, I am. Mainly football, and yeah.
Mainly football. Okay,
That
so
would be Tom Brady, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it was before.
Yeah.
Do you like
So
my
you-
prismatic posters in the background?
well, that's why I thought it was Pikachu ears, but it's the Michigan logo. So do you know the answer to what what Ryan was asking about what makes the prices of Pokemon cards go up and down?
Kind of just the people who want it based on type of Pokemon that's on the card. Just how many are printed,
So
and
go ahead.
just like based on how much the pack is, yeah, how much the pack costs.
Yeah, Ryan, I know that they don't do this so much in the sports world, but I know. Okay, so two things. Pokemon does not have serial numbered cards. They're all, again, we're talking like the case hits like Downtown Kabooms that don't have any serial numbers, parallels. They'd have parallels, but they don't have like serial numbers. Pikachu, there is no one of ones, out of tens, out of 25s. But the other thing is Pikachu, not Pikachu, Pokemon, they do reprints, right, Matthew?
Yeah.
Can you talk about reprints a little bit more?
It's like there's like a lot of demand for the new sets, so they usually just after like a couple of months they make reprints of bigger boxes, and so other people can get the cards that everyone was wanting before. So
Okay. I mean, how does that, what do you think, Ryan?
Yeah, I guess I'm still kind of confused. Like, people play Pokemon, so I assume that these characters, maybe they come in and out of popularity. I mean, there has to be more than just like the initial print run or something has to move the value. If it's a market, something has to move them up and down after time. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I would think there's got to be some driver that's whether it's the people playing it or just the character picks up popularity a couple of years down the road or whatever it may be.
When I think of this question, I can't think of anyone better than Hammer Time to answer this. I'm just kidding. I have no clue who this is. They don't have their camera on. That's totally fine. Hammer Time.
I like Snickerdoodles.
Hammer Time likes Snickerdoodles. Are you a Pokemon person or a sports car person?
Pokemon person.
Okay. Can you help with this conundrum or question? Oh, they just left. They totally. You know what? I'm glad they didn't say anything vulgar before leaving. But the only thing that they wanted to say was that they like Snickerdoodle. So thank you, Hammer Time. They immediately disconnected. I did not ban them or block them. They just left. Connor is saying that he's getting more people in the stream, Denny. Thank you so much, Connor. I gotta pay him. Like, he's like my promoter now. So
I will say this as a promoter.
Yeah.
I mean, TCG is just on fire. And I mean, the amount of demand on the vendor side from TCG and attendee side, and that's why you're seeing all these TCG shows popping up. They're very common now in our area. People are doing just pure TCG shows. I think I haven't been to one myself yet, but I'm seeing the sports, traditionally people that do sports shows getting into doing TCG shows, and just shows how popular a phenomena it is right now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Before we get to this question or two that I have in the chat, what tips do you have as someone who may want to do, like, maybe they're not in sports cards, so they're like, I love Pokemon so much. Maybe Matthew's like, I love Pokemon. I would love to know if I can set up my own show in my local area. Like, do you have any tips for someone like Matthew?
It's a lot of fun. I would say do it, go for it. Why not? Give it a shot. Give yourself plenty of time, because it'll take a little while. So give yourself, the last thing you want to do is say, I'm going to throw a show and I'm going to do it in a month. And then, you can't put something together that quickly. But so give yourself a long runway. And the biggest thing you got to do first and foremost is finding the venue, and venues are challenging. They all have people that run the venue. You got to develop a relationship with the manager of the venue. It has to be available. They have all kinds of requirements that you have to meet. There's money involved that you have to, be real willing to put up. You put that up and you're at risk. Promoter's kind of at risk. And so hopefully it comes together.
Do you do like 50% deposit? Like
I really like snickerdoodles.
Yeah, Matthew, the
All right.
Snickerdoodle crowd is out in full force. So yeah, I could have yeah. Anyway, I'll figure out a way to have guests come in and out. But so when it comes to this question, do you have again? I think you've only worked with one venue, right? It's the Silver Spring Civic
Right.
Center.
Yeah.
Do these places typically ask for like half of the money up front and then half on the day, or is it all up front, or how does that work?
I think they're probably all different. I mean, I think the issue mainly is what's their cancellation policy. So I think you probably have to generally have to put the money up front, or at least half of it up front or so. And then you may have up until 2 weeks, a month beforehand to cancel if you needed to cancel for some reason. But generally speaking, once you commit, you want to go all in. The last thing you want to do is cancel your show kind of 2 or 4 weeks beforehand just to get your money back from the venue, because hopefully you've taken in a lot of money from vendors at that point. I think traditionally some people would just have the vendors pay at the show for their table. I never did that because I was always nervous that people wouldn't show up, or they say they're coming and then they don't. So I had vendors commit at the time that they sign up for the show, and I think then they're committed. I'm committed. We're all on board. We're going to make this thing a success. And so then a lot of it is just relationship building. So it's the first one is definitely the hardest because nobody knows you, or nobody knew me when I did my first one, and I was just walking around Chantilly, basically introducing myself to vendors and walking around local shows and introducing myself and trying to talk them into setting up at this kind of one-day event that nobody had ever heard of before. So, but the first one went well because I put a lot into getting people in the door. I mean, I feel like selling tables is the easiest, is actually fairly easily, especially right now. Right. Everybody feels like they should be. Right. Yeah, everybody feels they should be on the other side of the table. Everyone thinks they should be a vendor. So I think selling tables is not a hard thing to do. I think the bigger challenge is filling up the room with attendees, making people want to come to the event, making it fun, making it high energy, getting people interested, and having different hooks that attract people. I focus a lot on the attendance side of things, and just trying to have, the social media, the hobby is very much an online hobby, right? I mean, you're online, Instagram, the hobby's enormous, Facebook groups are huge, and YouTube. And so there's a lot of, you can do a lot of networking online. But I also really try to work the community and get people from the local area aware of the show, at the show, families, kids, youth sports, little league, all that kinds of stuff. Trying to kind of market with them, because I want to bring in people that not just are already in the hobby. I want to bring in new people into the hobby too.
So at the risk of, we got Logan and Brady in backstage. I want to bring them on. I see them here. I got to ask this question though. It was really close. I know you watched the weather like a hawk that week before February 8th. We had a potential for snow that day, which especially if it was like, we know this area, 3 inches of snow will shut this place down. But, there was potential for some really gnarly weather. And so how stressed out were you going into that week? And then also too is like, do you have a cancellation policy, or like with up and down, like with the venue and then with the dealers? Like if someone says, oh, I have a sick child or something like that, like can you talk about those two things, and then I'll bring on Logan and Brady?
Yeah, absolutely. Good question. It was clear that the venue wasn't going to close. So the venue is indoor. It's not a school. It's a civic building. It's got a hockey or ice skating rink outside of it. And, they'll stay open basically through light snow and stuff. So I knew the venue was going to be open, and that meant that I was going to be there and the show was going on. And, I was telling vendors that the show's on and plan to be there and everything. The only thing I was kind of worried about, I really wasn't that worried about snow. I was worried about some of our vendors that are kind of out in the mountains or, further out in their commute and coming in. And if somebody, had contacted me and said, hey, I just can't get out because we're snowed in or whatever, I certainly would have worked with them on that. But yeah, I mean, we were just kind of full speed ahead. Yeah, there's a cancellation policy. Basically, as long as I hear from someone within a couple weeks of the show, I'm more than happy to kind of work with them. We're at the point now where we've got plenty of people to pick up to take space if space opens up. So that's not too big of a problem. The worst thing for a show promoter is an empty table. So that is my biggest thing. Like if somebody just doesn't show up to the show, they wouldn't be invited back, because all they had to do was if they had contacted me 24 hours beforehand, I could have filled the table. So vendors just, if there are vendors out there, my recommendation to you is just always remember to be in communication with the promoter, because the last thing they want is an empty table, because it's not good for the attendees.
Right.
It's not good for the event. So.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that. So I can't believe we're at 50 minutes. I plan for this to be under an hour. I don't know if that's going to be possible. I am overwhelmed by the amount of support in the chat. I think this is like all of Connor's high school buddies. I don't know. But we got Logan and Brady. Logan in the backstage is showing me some Pokemon Prismatic Evolution ETBs. So he's definitely Pokemon. Talk to me. Oh, he's got oh man, this guy's professional. He's got a podcast mic. Logan, welcome to the show. Welcome to the Hobby Hangout. Show us what you got.
Oh, I was at GameStop and I had a Roaring Moon from these boxes I opened.
Woo! It was a beautiful card. Yeah, so you submitted that. I think that's a really good strong. It was a strong. Pokemon cards are cut like the corners are like rounded. They are much easier to gem mint. Would you agree? I don't know if you've submitted a lot.
No, that was my first submission, so I'm not really sure.
I got my fingers crossed for you. If that becomes a 10, I will at least give you 50% comps, more than GameStop will for that card. So you keep in touch with me. But it's a Roaring Moon special illustration rare, and I don't know if it's like a case hit, but those are pretty rare to come by, right?
Yeah.
What else did you pull from those ETB
I gotta
stand for Elite Trainer box, Ryan? They're like the megas.
I think I will. I think I have. I'm gonna go get.
Oh, here we go. Okay, while Logan goes to find something, Brady, welcome to the. No, that's Brady. Logan, welcome to the Hobby Hangout.
Hello.
Logan, what's up? All right, so are you Pokemon or a sports car guy? Pokemon. All right. I gotta turn this into a Pokemon Hangout.
I gotta.
Just ahead. Like the shows, Denny. Pokemon's taking over, man.
Keep taking over.
A Master Ball. I don't know. Duraludon, I think.
Duraludon. Okay. Master Ball. So the Master Ball Hollow is the more coveted Hollow than the Reverse Hollow. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm learning this on the.
I got a Vaporeon EX too.
Vaporeon. That is an evolution of the Eevee, and that's a what variation is that?
It's a Vaporeon. Wait, what?
EX?
What do you mean, like
Vaporeon EX? Okay, so it's not like a Master Ball Hollow.
No. I also submitted a gold Ogre Pawn. It was like $20. I probably shouldn't have submitted it, but I kind of just wanted to.
Why do you say that?
Because it's definitely a loss of money since it like costs so much to grade. And if it comes back at 10, it's only like 120. So,
well, I mean, that's still if it's you pack pulled it, $20 grade. I think that's what a lot of people think about is just so Brady and Logan know, like in the hobby, in the sports card side, a lot of people are starting to realize that we shouldn't be grading base cards because base cards are just the upside on a PSA 10 is so low. Ryan, you would agree, right?
Yeah, it is. It's rough. Hey, I just put in a plug. We have grading at the show as well. House of Cards does submissions for PSA, SGC, and Beckett, and they do a great job handling those, and they get some good prices. And you can like avoid the shipping because you go pick them up at their Silver Spring store too. So
Well, without saying which neighborhood, or without doxing these two gentlemen, I think you guys are in the Maryland side of the DMV, right? So I don't know if you know about House of Cards, but if they are local to you, that is a viable option. Because yeah, we don't want to drive like so far and so long to pick up our cards, but just Google them, House of Cards. I'll put that in the chat here too. Let me look for their website. Cards, Maryland, Silver Spring. House of Cards MD. Actually, let me put in the chat, and then I will share my screen. Actually, you know what? House of Cards, you gotta pay me money to share your screen. No, I'm just kidding. I just don't want to deal with that right now. HouseofCardsMD.com. That's where that is a local card shop and vendor for the Mid-Atlantic Card Show. Next show being May 3rd, and then I wanted to pull up. Actually, Ryan, I didn't see in your website the future shows, but I know on Instagram you showed like you had May, September, November.
Yeah, August 23rd, so kind of the week before Labor Day. And we'll have a big show then. We'll have the full building. And then November 29th, which will be interesting. It's the Saturday after Thanksgiving. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm optimistic that that'll be kind of a fun time for a show, kind of Thanksgiving weekend for those of you that stick around in the DC area. And then we go back to Super Bowl time. So the week between the championship games and the Super Bowl will go on January 23rd, Saturday, January 23rd. And we're already set up for a couple more in 26 too.
I love it. I love to hear it, Ryan. Thank you. So we have Allah. Well, I don't even know. Yeah, Allah. Well, I think it shows up.
Welfrey.
Yeah, I just didn't want to say your full name in case, like, I feel like there's a lot of teens coming in. I have no clue. This is Connor's doing. Connor's like guest bombing my first episode, which thank you so much. Logan, I didn't get to hear too much from Logan, but if Logan wants to talk first, and then we can go to Allah. Logan, Pokemon, talk to me.
Interesting topic.
So, you have you submitted with PSA or anything like that before?
No, I have not. But I went with Connor and Brady.
Yes, I remember. You guys are. I love the support. This is so amazing. Anything you wanted to ask or talk about Pokemon or sports cards that you are curious about?
What's your favorite Pokemon card that you've collected?
All right, so my favorite Pokemon I mentioned earlier was Kyogre. I don't have like a Kyogre. I don't even know if there's like a Kyogre SIR or alternate alt rare, all that stuff. Like I don't know about that. But I will say my favorite card I have so far, I'm like trying to look at my wall here. I don't have like a lot of Pokemon like cards like that are, I don't know. What's my favorite card so far? The one I don't have that I would really like is there's a Pikachu. Like there's so many cards with Pikachu dressed up as a character, like a Charizard or like a ninja or like a firefighter or a police officer. Like they got Pikachu in all sorts of different costumes, Ryan. There's this one that's called Skull that I recently saw that looks really cool, but that's like a $3,000 card. So maybe not realistic. I don't have it right now, but those cards look really cool. The card I currently own, maybe the Squirtle alt rare, which is not a big card, but I pulled it at GameStop. I graded it. It looks cool. It's a Japanese 151 card. But I'm so new. It's like that was such a noob answer, Logan. I apologize, but I'm not like into Pokemon as much as I am with sports cards.
I have a question for your guest, Denny. Do you guys play Pokemon?
Yeah, Logan and Allah.
I usually just collect.
Me too.
These cards were meant to be played with. I think that's why the 1999 original cards are so hard to find in good shape, because people were opening them and just playing with them, right? So, but that's really, it's a good question.
Are there I mean, I feel like there are tournaments, right? And there are places I feel like people are integrating that stuff. I mean, I think like the promoter world is getting into this area too, like putting together TCG tournaments and stuff. I don't know. I haven't seen any in our area, but I feel like there's been some.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of that kind of like people are like, I see it on social media. People are poking and prodding. Like I think Cards HQ in Atlanta is doing some Pokemon tournaments, but you have to have like a tournament director, and like not a lot of people have that like certification, or not that it's like this super long like getting a real estate license, but people have to like get it, you know, for it to be an actual valid tournament to go into like the local to the regional to the national, whatever it is. But you know, that's really interesting. I never played the game. I know they're the attacks in the bottom, but I don't know what any of it means. But okay. Well, actually, let me say, Connor says, "Don't you have a BGS Pokemon card?" I do, Connor, but it was from the Beckett party from the National in 2023. I didn't pack pull it. It was like grand. I mean, I guess like pack pulling cards. It was random. It was a more Pecco, but I have no clue. Like, I have no like feeling towards that card other than remembering that I got it for free at a party that I wasn't supposed to be at. I crashed a parties. Kids, I am not telling you to crash weddings and parties, but sometimes you know, just go where the fun is. Goat Sports Card says, "Glad I felt the same way, but it's such a big thing. You probably should." Yep. Thank you. All right, Allah, go ahead. You were about to say something.
Denny, do you think I should do my math homework or just like skip it for the night?
Man, you always have to do your homework every single night. You have to put in the time. You got to put in the time now to set yourself up for the future. And the reason he's asking is he's Korean. I'm Korean. I'm being like the Korean dad here, being like pali homework. So you're gonna have to leave the stream so you can do your homework.
It's 10 o'clock. You're already behind.
10 o'clock, yeah. Well, in his mind, because it's daylight savings today for the first time, it's 9 p.m. in his head.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
All right. Anything else, Allah?
I actually live in Spain, so it's like a time difference. I'm not.
It's true. No, that, you know, I forgot about that. Allah is from Spain. He's actually also from the future. So I forget how it all works out, but there is a way to do the time difference. You got to find the right website. But yeah, I'm sorry about that, Allah. I should have remembered. Glad the Ripper says, "I appreciate your goats. I'm just a bit scared to learn a new trick." I think he's talking about the Pokemon stuff. J2 says, "Ben and Brian at Hazard Cards are great. I take cards to them for grading." Awesome. Latrell Spiritual is the American Dream. He sets a bunch of things above that I'm gonna have to get to, but he says, "Ryan, that's great. You got Adrian Dantley to sign at your next show. NBA legend Buck Williams would definitely sign at one of your future shows. All the best with the shows." And he wrote some stuff up here too. I apologize I didn't get to it, Latrell. I'm like, I love how much activity there is in the chat and in the live cam. I just didn't realize it was going to be like this. But
can I respond to that?
Yeah, please.
First of all, I really appreciate people bringing to my attention people that are local, because I didn't know that about Buck Williams, and I will follow up on that. And that's really what I'm going for is, you know, I'm not looking to fly someone in from the West Coast. I'm looking for people in our area that would be great signers. So, and Buck Williams he'd be fantastic and a good kind of follow up after Adrian Dantley. So I appreciate that suggestion.
Yeah, absolutely. Mike asks a question. I know, I think I already know the answer to this, but so we can please everyone's request as much as possible, which is a good question and a good reason to have this. Is any chance at a larger venue for the Mid-Atlantic in the future? It was pretty tight in there.
Yeah, it's a great question. Well, we have an easy solution, which is we can use the second floor too, which we just declined, which we just chose not to do at the last show, and that would open up some space. I am looking at other potential venues, but I'm really happy with the Silver Spring Civic building. We're doing some things that make it a little smoother getting in next time. We kind of had a little bottleneck there right at the entrance, and I think we can solve that. And I'd also just say that it was really tough, you know, the first half of the show, but the show, you know, in the afternoon it thins out. So I tell people, if you really don't like crowds, come in the afternoon. It's a different. It's there's a lot more space and a lot more room and things in the afternoon. But yeah, I mean, we've been fortunate. We've had big crowds, and we're working on ways to kind of expand our space, and we can move up to the second floor too. But Venues are tough, and especially in our area, because we're trying to keep it inside the beltway, so they're expensive, and the bigger you go, the harder it gets. And parking is inside the beltway always a challenge. So
we have a great convention center in the heart of DC, the Walter Washington Convention Center. They do like the car show. I know we're about cards, but this is about CARS, cars show. And parking is always hard. I know some people take the metro, but it's like it really, much as we spend so much money with cards that we just don't. We're so cheap when it comes to like food and parking. We're like, oh my gosh, $5 for a hamburger? Like, what is this? Like, but no, I would love to see bigger venues, a cooler, like big shows. But like honestly, like the fact that what you're doing inside the Beltway, Ryan, is like amazing, and it's a good problem to have. People being like, I wish it was bigger because there's so many people. I mean, do you have a number of how many people were at the show before I bring Connor on from backstage?
We definitely had over 2,000 at the last show.
Yeah,
so somewhere, I don't have an exact count, but it's between 2,000 and 3,000. We have the Chantilly show and we have the Philly show nearby as well. So, we have to figure out exactly what our lane is. Are we looking to kind of replicate a massive show like Chantilly? Probably not. More trying to kind of do something really for the DC area and make it easily accessible. And we're on the Metro. Silver Spring Civic Center is on the Metro. So I don't know. I mean, if we're able to get a good spot, we definitely take it and go much bigger. But we have good established shows already in our area too.
So before I get to Connor with his amazing hair, how hard is it to get like that? So you have this one guest format, which I like because you get to kind of like really get to know that guest, and they do a lot of signings, and like it's really like a lot of focus is on that one guest, but like it's got to get expensive to get these guests, right? I mean, like how is that procurement process look from your end?
Autograph guests are definitely tricky. It's very, very stressful because there's always a risk that the person doesn't show up or whatever. But one thing that I like that we've been able to do is there's a lot of fan interaction. So we give people time and they can meet them and get a photo and shake hands and have a little talk and stuff. We're not just it's not an assembly line. You're not just like trying to jam people through as quickly as possible. And even if we don't make it all back on signatures, they're a draw for the show. They're good for vendors. They're good for attendance, and it's just it's a positive thing to have. And we're trying to get someone with a connection to DC and a connection to the community too. So, I mean, it's the economics are definitely challenging with autograph guests, but there's a lot of competition out there. I mean, shows are popping up left and right. So we're trying to, keep, continue to have a really good event.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for doing such a great job so far. So Connor, I got to bring on Connor because I think he's the reason this is going over an hour, and him and his buddies are coming in and showing a lot of support and more Pokemon talk than I thought we would have in the first episode of the Hobby Hangout. Connor, welcome to the Hangout. And like, how do you get your hair like that? I gotta ask. That is amazing hair.
Just messing around with water, pretty much. A lot of people use product, but I prefer to just use water.
Well, like what type of water are we talking about? Like Fiji water, like
just like bathroom sink.
Bathroom sink water. That's trademark patented by Connor. All right, so Connor, I know you do both Pokemon and sports, right?
I do, in fact.
What do you do more of? Well, like what's your passion in?
So honestly, if I had to choose, I would probably say I'd rather collect like football and like baseball cards. But since like there's no really local or super local card stores that like me and my friends can go to, it's like harder. So typically we're getting Pokemon. Like I obviously still have some cards, but.
So Ryan, like I love this because I don't know how many other podcasts we get people on the ground, right? Like whether they're kids or like people who are like, it's hard to find product, right? So you're saying that you would love to do more sports, but the price points, the availability. I know availability is really hard. Right now, Pokemon, like people are literally fighting each other at Costco's and Targets to get it. But you're talking about like maybe Logan can chime in as well. But like you prefer TCG non-sports because the price points are more palatable.
Yeah, I'd say it's like more in my price range, like as I don't have a job or anything, and also just like, so we have like a local store that's like really easy to get to for us. Like we can walk there
Yeah.
rather than like, so I'd say I think I've seen it on your Instagram before. I think it's Collector's World.
Yeah.
I'd say that's
Annandale.
probably the closest like local store to me, and that's like 30 minutes away,
Got
which
it.
like I wouldn't be able to go like constantly.
Right. Totally get it. What about you, Logan?
I have a question for Connor.
Oh
Mhm.
boy, here we go. Just don't say anything about snickerdoodles. Go ahead.
Do you like snickerdoodles?
Are we talking? Are we talking cookies or what are we
I
talking
really-
about?
Yes.
I don't know.
The cinnamon and sugar cookie.
Yeah.
Yeah. You like snickerdoodles?
Of course. Best cookie.
This is
Really?
so new language. Like, you know, like I just learned about this like skibbity Riz toilet sigma, all this. What is this thing? I don't even know if this is code for like the worst thing in the world or like something completely vanilla. So yes, okay.
That's
Logan.
Snickerdoodle isn't code for anything. I don't know what that was,
I
honestly.
assume it's a Pokemon, isn't it?
Nope.
It's not a Pokemon.
Nope.
I
Just
thought
the
that's what it
cookie.
was.
Oh, wait. I forgot to
ahead.
ask this before.
Yeah,
So
go ahead,
I was
Connor.
talking to Brady and Luke,
Yes, of
and
course.
they were wondering like if you would want to do like a PSA review when we get our cards back.
Oh, 100%. Tell me when you guys, when GameStop tells you guys the cards are back, because you guys submitted on the same day. I would
Yeah.
like to imagine you guys are going to get your cards back on the same day, right? I mean, I don't know, but when you get that email or the
So,
phone call or the text, tell me, and then I'll meet you guys over there.
all right. So it was kind of weird. We had another friend that submitted like a week before us.
Okay.
He also has 2 cards, which might like do well. I don't know. But
Yeah.
so we all sent it in at the same day. Obviously, does it take a different amount of time for Pokemon and sports cards to like get graded? Because
Yeah,
theirs showed up, I think, 2 days before me.
Yeah, so great question. I think that right now they are quicker with Pokemon. I think again, someone from PSA or another grading company could share this, but I truly believe these Pokemon cards are much quicker to grade because there's less things to look for. Not just the rounded corners, but like they're so standard. The backs, there's nothing. I mean, they're so easy. Like I feel like if I got training from PSA as a new grader, here's what you do for sports cards. Here's what you do for Pokemon cards. Like Pokemon training would be quicker. So yeah, I've actually seen that with my own cards where I've submitted both sports and non-sports, and maybe I'll make some content out of that. So thank you for that question, Connor, because I think the answer is yes. Pokemon is easier to grade and quicker to grade.
All right. And also, I sent it in chat earlier, but I think it was like a recent message. So you know how we were like talking about what your favorite Pokemon card that you had was?
Yeah.
Um, I remember seeing something. Don't you have like a BGS 10 card?
Oh yeah, I mentioned that earlier. It's
Oh.
again, it's from the Beckett party. It's a more Pecco. I mean, I can see
Mhm.
it. I don't want to like. I guess I could take my headphones off and show it on camera, but it's like
So it's
it doesn't mean a
all
lot
good.
to me. I mean, it's not something
I
that
know.
I graded myself with Beckett, and I pack pulled it with like my son. It's a special card. I just got it from
Mhm.
a party that I crashed. That's and I Beckett black labels don't mean. I truly believe that the reason Beckett is down in the skibbity toilet riz more than it should be is because you like that, Ryan, is because they're like German teachers. You guys have teachers in school, right? Where like you got the strict teacher. They might be
Mhm.
they might be setting you up for success in the future because they're so strict. But no one likes the strict teacher. No one likes the super strict teacher. They want the cool teacher. PSA is like
Mhm.
the cool teacher. PSA is like the PE teacher who's like, all right, guys, let's just let's play some dodgeball today. All right, you guys are great. You guys get A's on your report cards. And then you got your science teacher, right? Your science teacher's like, oh my gosh, this person, you can never please this person. This teacher has the highest standards. To get an A in this teacher's class, you have to go, you have to bend over backwards and go above and beyond to get an A.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I understand that. While we're on the topic of like card grading, I've also seen a lot more like people grading with tag recently because I think it's faster. No, do you think that like the different services like downgrade the price? Like if I had a same card PSA 10 and like tag 10, do you think the price like difference would be like sorry, like like a big difference?
I mean, I know the answer, but Ryan, do you want to answer the resale value?
I think PSA is definitely the best value per grade. On the grade by grade, a 10 PSA I think is going to be higher than a 10 of anything in any other grading company. So
I would say
to me for PSA, it's about the guarantee they provide. So they basically, if there's an issue with your card, if it's not authentic or if they make a big mistake, they will actually stand behind it. Nobody else, no other grading company does that. They're the only ones that provide an actual financial guarantee for the authenticity and grade of their cards.
Yeah, I would say the
you.
minor exceptions are one. I think in the Pokemon world, CGC is pretty well regarded. So I think the CGC 10 might be maybe not maybe comparable, but not more than PSA, but either comparable or slightly below comparable. Same thing with like Magic the Gathering, MTG cards. One Piece I'm not so sure about, but I'm learning more about non-sports for sure, and especially with this much this many people in the live stream for Pokemon. I'll have to think
about.
Do
you like CGC, Denny?
I've submitted with them just once from the national from 2023. I really like how their version of Black Label, like the pristine. I like how their newer labels look with the 10. I have gotten some of those. They're not as strict as Beckett, I guess, but do I like them? I think they do have clear slabs. I think sometimes the PSA slab can look a little foggy or steamy or whatever the effect is. So I truly believe that competition is the best for the consumer. So I would love for there to be more stability and resale value with PSA, Beckett, SGC, CGC, and all these other grading companies. It's just not there right now because the market just isn't bearing it. Because again, cool teachers out here give A's and the strict teachers aren't.
Yeah, could you compare Beckett to like maybe a oatmeal raisin cookie and like PSA to a snickerdoodle?
That's a really hard question for me to answer, Logan, because I love oatmeal raisin. It's probably my favorite cookie, if not, I mean, definitely top 3. I mean, of course, snickerdoodles are up there too, but they're just Beckett is just impossible to please. And again, there's also like this conspiracy theory about how they only give 10s to like their inside group of like their special, they play favorites. I don't know, that's just conspiracy theory, but people believe that with, I guess, all the grading companies. They feel like everyone's got an inside job or something like that. But the other exception, Connor, I wanted to add was vintage SGC. I think because people generally appreciate SGC's grading, maybe not stricter, but just more accurate. I think a lot of people believe that SGC just is more accurate with grading with vintage cards. So anything before the 80s. I know some people will say before the 90s and before the 2000s. I won't say that. But some people do believe that SGC on vintage baseball is comparable or more to PSA at the same grade levels.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right, and I had one more question before I hop off.
Yeah,
I was wondering what both you, Denny, and Ryan, what your guys' most like either valuable or like prize card to you is.
Ryan, you want to take this one first?
So my biggest card I got during the pandemic, it's a Pele, former soccer player. It's a 1958 Pele. It's a Swedish card. It's called Alifa Beloge, 1958. It's very low grade. It's 1.5 fair grade PSA, and unfortunately it's in a vault, so I don't get to hold it but maybe I'll get it out of the vault. It's a vault. It's in the Fanatics. It was the PWCC vault, now the Fanatics vault. Maybe I'll get it out at some point. But that is by far my biggest card. I'm into old vintage soccer cards and specifically Pele, as I think Denny might recall from our prior chat. And so that would be it for me. After that, I got a bunch of Jordans. I've got an '86 Fleer Jordan. That's a
I didn't know you had.
It's a 7.
Oh, really?
If I had any guts, I would crack it, and it's with Beckett, and I would cross it over to PSA. But I've never cracked a card, and I'm kind of chicken to do it. So
BGS 7 with subgrades or without?
Without subgrades. It's a very old slab. Actually, I take that back. It does have subgrades. The subgrades are in the back. That's how old. How old the slab is. Don't
crack it. Just enjoy it.
So I haven't done it yet. I got it in I think I want to say 2019.
Before that's awesome. So you got it for a good deal.
Yeah, I got it pretty good. It's just kind of hanging out with me these days. So.
I love that. I didn't know you had one of those. So Connor, to answer your question, my chase card is not a very rare card, but it is the '86 Fleer. I've never owned one in my life, even though I'm a big Jordan fan and all that. My most valuable. So here's the thing. I'm gonna answer in two different ways, because when I've been on other people's podcasts, and I've said this in my podcast in the past, it has been the Scoring Kings, the Jordan with the lightning in the background. It's just, I love it. I pack pulled it as a kid. I gave it to a friend, someone who I thought was a friend, in high school, and then they unfriended me, before digital unfriending, like physical, real life unfriending in the 90s. So I have a lot of joy and sorrow and regret. I have a lot of emotions around that card. So it's it has the most meaning, even though it's not a super expensive card. Another card that has meaning to me, because at one point, Connor, not anymore, but at one point, at the height around 2020, a 2008-2009 Topps Chrome Kobe Bryant with LeBron guarding him, the refractor, not numbered, just the refractor, in a PSA 10 was selling for $18,000. I, at that time, was not in the hobby. I had left the hobby, and I hadn't come back. I didn't come back at the beginning of the pandemic. I came back in the tail end of the pandemic, in 2022. But my friend, the Rated Rabbi, shout out to him. He's a neighbor of mine, and he got me back into the hobby this third time around. And he was like, I had it kind of like you, the whole bedroom drawer. It was in my shoe. It was in a shoebox. I didn't have any Zion case or like that. I still don't have a Zion case, but I had it in a shoebox in a regular top loader, and it was raw. And he's like, "You have one of these?" I was like, "Yeah, I pulled this from a blaster." I didn't even know it was called a blaster. I just said I bought it from a Target box. And he's like, "This card, did you know, this card, because it has Kobe and LeBron on it? Again, not numbered, but it's a Kobe and LeBron. It's Topps Chrome. It's a refractor." He's like, "I'm going to show you the price of this card." And at that time, it was about maybe a $6,000 card from the high of 18,000. And he's like, "Let's grade this with PSA." And I was like, "What? What's PSA?" And he's like, "Man, this," because I didn't know about grading as a kid at all. And so we graded it, and it came back a 9. And I was like, the whole time, I'm like, why is this a 9? It looks perfect. 50-50 centering, surface, edges, corners, everything's perfect. And that's when I was really kind of annoyed that there was no subgrades. There was no information about why this is a PSA 9. So it is probably my most expensive card. It also has some meaning because, again, my friend who got me back into the hobby is like, "Let's grade it together." So I pulled it myself. I graded it myself. It's not a PSA 10. It's not 2020. It's not $18,000, but it's still, I think, as a PSA 9 in current value. I haven't checked it recently, but it's probably around it's probably around $1,500. Yeah. Oh, I think we lost Connor. He's doing the hello thing. So let's see. Goat says, "My neighbor came to me and was like, I found my '86 Fleer set in my parents' attic. We graded all the key cards, and the lowest grade that came back was PSA 8. That's amazing, Goats, Brian." Mike says, "My biggest cards came from trades. I find that to be the easiest way to get bigger cards, for sure." Penguins has answered my comment. I don't know where the comment is. I'm so sorry. I'm having a hard time Oh, here we go. I found it. Hey, one of the Pokemon kids, please answer this, Logan or Connor. Penguin Yet asks, the Roaring Moon SIR was apparently made by a very well-known Japanese artist. Does this mean I should hold on to it because it'll go up in value?
What is SIR?
Special
Super
illustration.
or special.
Yeah. Go ahead, Logan.
I'm not very inept at this like topic. Maybe Connor, if he's
Well, you said very inept. You mean very adept? Because
adept,
if you were not very inept, you would be perfect to answer this question. So Connor, I think he's having a little bit of a audio or video issue. If anyone in the chat wants to help answer this question, I would love to kind of get us out on this question, maybe in a little closing, because I can't believe we're already at an hour and a half. But the Roaring Moon SIR was apparently made by a very well-known Japanese artist. Who I don't know who that is. Does this mean I should hold on to it because it'll go up in value? So if no one else can answer it, because I think Logan and Connor just left after the Snickerdoodles, they're probably going to get Snickerdoodles and go to sleep. Come in, it's 10:30 Eastern, so they they got school. Penguin, my guess is, I mean, my answer would be, who, again, going back to Ryan's question of like what makes these cards go up and down, right? It's my general, I hate to use the word thesis, but my answer was, what's the narrative? What's the theme? What's the story behind the card? Or, is there some special lore? Is there some special catch? If this SIR was made by a very well-known Japanese artist, like, I don't know how many cards this particular artist made of the Pokemon set in general, or in this particular product line. But if it's a very small number, that there you go with the story. There's the lore. Should you hold on to it? No one can tell you what to do with cards, holding on to them or not, because we're literally talking about the whims of the market. Who knows with the economy? I mean, we didn't even get to the questions I had for this week about the tariffs and these large auctions. Maybe we'll do a couple before we end the show. But there's so much that happens in the hobby, both in Pokemon and sports cards worlds, that I would be uncomfortable telling anyone how to spend their money or when to sell their cards or what cards to buy. Like I've never made content like that, and I think I don't think I ever will. Ryan, what do you think?
I hear you. Hey, Denny, can I talking about cards made by artists? Can I just show these? These were made for our show by one of our vendors.
I'm gonna highlight you. Solo layout. Here we go.
Yeah, so these were made by Brad Hudson, Coldstream Studios, who's an artist. He does sketch cards, inserts for top sets, and he made these especially for the Mid-Atlantic Sports Card Show.
Whoa.
Bubba
Mandalorian.
Mandalorian.
Yeah. I'm so bad at Star Wars lore.
I think it's Boba Fett, not the Mandalorian, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But
right.
And he did Spider-Man.
That I know. Yes. I mean, which Spider-Man? Which multiverse?
He did Shohei. Anyway, just a shout, and Gary Clark, because he was the autograph guest.
Were these available for sale? Those are so cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, he just gave me samples of them. Nice. I don't have them for sale or anything like that, but try to bring in, kind of cool stuff like that to the show, like vendors that bring something special. We have had card artists, sports artists, non-sports, Star Wars artists and stuff like that, which I just think it's like kids like it. I like it a lot. I like their art a lot. So I think it's kind of fun.
No, absolutely. So before we go, so Mike says, if you're doing cards strictly for money, then you have to look at it as a risk, much like stocks. Great response, Mike. I think if 1981 stands for the year he was born, he's 43 years old or 44 years old. So guy knows what he's talking about. Not that age has to do with not that it directly correlates with knowledge and in the hobby, but certainly appreciate you. Hey, you're a middle-aged man like me, I guess, and Ryan. Here's the thing. 90 minutes into the show, we're going to get to the topics of the week. Okay, this is crazy. I'm going to have to do a better job at this. Skeen's debut patch on auction, a Cheetos art that sold for like 80 grand plus, Jordan and Kobe game used jerseys potentially selling for $1 million. Oh, the Skeen's debut patch auto maybe selling for $1 million as well. I doubt we're gonna get to all three of these. Chat, if you want to talk, if you want to tell me which one of these would you like Ryan and I to talk about? The Skeens debut patch, 1/1 auto that's on Fanatics Collect, the Cheetos art that sold for like 80 grand plus, like 84,000, I think, and these duel of Jordan and Kobe game use jerseys that may be selling for like $1 million. I don't think we have time to talk about all three. The other thing I want to talk about with these tariffs and how they're going to potentially impact the hobby. So maybe before the chat responds to those three, Ryan, do you want to talk about how you think these tariffs might affect the hobby?
Tariffs?
Yeah, just the cost of everything that's going to go up really soon.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of risks out there in the economy right now for sure, and that's gonna. How will that translate into the hobby? I mean, the hobby seems very solid right now, and we're about to head into Fanatics taking the licenses for basketball and football. So the shows are, not just our show, but obviously other local shows are doing really well. I mean, I guess we could hit some big bumps that have an impact, but I don't think the collecting's going anywhere. Let me just say about Skeens. I mean, talk about risk. I mean, that thing's going to go for what? Probably over, I think there's still almost 2 weeks to go. It's over $500,000 now.
Yeah.
It's probably going to go for over $1 million, and he's played one season. So, I would cash that thing. I'm with the seller on that. Cash me out. Take that money. If you want to keep it in cards, buy some blue chip vintage cards.
Right.
And spend the rest on your retirement.
So you would not have taken the 30 seasons of Pirates behind the home plate.
Yeah, no, I have no need for Pirates season tickets, so I wouldn't even. I love the Nationals, but I wouldn't take the Nationals season tickets
either. Right? Okay. This is a little bit more controversial. Okay, I know. We tried to get Mariana, your wife, on the show too. So I don't know if she's going to listen to this.
I tried to make her. I told her she had to do a cameo. She said no. She refused. So
the Livy Dunn luxury box offer that would have been out the door too, right?
Yeah, no, I would not. That's not a
good answer. Good answer.
You're gonna have to entice me with more than that. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
How about you? What do you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think my wife's gonna listen to this, but no, I will not be taking the Livy Dunn offer. I will not be taking the Pirates or the Nationals or the Wizards or the Commanders or the Caps. There's no 30. Do you know how hard it is to go to one game as like as a parent of young children? Like, just the logistics alone, just the parking, the concessions. I cannot go to. I as a younger man, believe me, I've had partial season ticket plans for the Wizards when they were bad. You can do that as a young man. You cannot do that as someone. I mean, you can. I mean, there are people who do, and I am kind of making some jokes here, but I mean, it would just be so logistically difficult. And so I'm not taking any 30, whatever it is. I mean, really enticing if it was like a luxury box where they get all the food you're literally just going for dinner, right? I mean, that would be kind of cool. You just go in, pop in, get someone to give you food, and then you go home. But no, it's more of an obligation than a reward, at least in my opinion. So, and I've never made content saying that, but yeah, there's no way that I would take anything like that. I would, even though it's not all about the money for me, if you pull a card like that, my opinion is it is lottery. You cash in your lottery ticket and you just, put it in cards that you actually want. Because also, again, he's a pitcher, like nothing against him, but there's a lot of desire because he had a great rookie season and he's dating Livy Dunn. So, I mean, great. Hey, who knows? No one knows how anyone gets famous, but yeah, right now he's the soup du jour and great for him. But I would sell it. I don't care if I get $300,000. I mean, to me, that's enough too, right? It's like, yes, over $1 million is great, but I mean, these card prices are absolutely insane.
Well, the analogy is Wemby, right? And I think Wemby's down quite a bit from
injury,
where he would have been, this time last year. So, I just think it's really hard to maintain these kind of prices over an extended period of time a card
Yeah.
like that.
No, absolutely. Yeah. And pitchers, right? Tommy John surgery, just ACL, UCL, MCL, whatever, all the SCLs, LCSs. So so we got Mike says, I think Skeens baseball patch autos have never been big for collectors. The debut patch is changing and everything. So yeah, we're talking about it now, so that's good. So we'll continue talking about it for a little bit more before we hop off. Goat says, last card show I traded a Hank Aaron rookie for Paul Skeens for his Chrome Sapphire Gold auto out of 50. Holy smokes. I mean, I guess I would ask what grade the Hank Aaron rookie was, but I mean, you don't see yeah, that's pretty cool. Mike says, nice Goats. Hope it pans out for you long term. Much more risk. Skeens has built-in risk for sure. And Skeens has already surpassed, I think he surpassed 600,000 from what I last saw on Instagram. And a PSA 3 Hank Aaron rookie auto from Goats. That's amazing. So let's talk Skeens a little bit more, and let's land this plane. Ryan, pitcher, first year. We know pitcher cards do not do well in the hobby, much like, say, defensive. You know, you could be that defensive player of the year. You're not going as much as an ultra modern quarterback, even if you're like not an MVP caliber ultra modern quarterback. You're not going as a center. Even look at Nikola Jokic. He just put up a triple double or triple double, whatever you want to call it, and he may not even win MVP. His card prices. He's multi MVP winning player, NBA champion. He does not get nearly as much love as he should in the hobby. Pitchers, same thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's been some great pitchers over the years in recent times, but they don't look at their values. They don't really maintain. I mean, Clayton Kershaw, Max Scherzer, Justin Verlander, these guys have put in the years. They've won the Cy Youngs. They won the title, the World Series. But how much hobby love is there for them? These are kind of flavor of the day people. I don't know. I'm just like, look, I'm a vintage collector, I like some modern stuff, but I just think it's very hard for that stuff to maintain for anything but kind of the short flip.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So just as we know, this hobby is built so much on hype, much more now, probably because of the world we live in, the social media world, just these bottle rockets that go up and just come crashing down. I just don't know. Sometimes I wonder about this hobby and how irrational we can be. Brian says Skeen's new cutter is unreal. I did not know about his new cutter. He added it to his arsenal this year. The main person I know who has the nastiest cutter of all time probably is Mariano Rivera's, but I don't know how much torque you got to put into it. As we all know, Mariano Rivera, like just the best closer of all time. I don't know how much pitchers have cutters in their like 3 to 5 pitch arsenal, and how hard they can throw it and how sustainable that is as a starter. But again, I've never even played Little League, so I'm kind of talking out of my ass here a little bit. But when I think about cutters, I think about Mariano Rivera. Ryan, what about you?
Yeah, I agree. Mariano, I like winners, and Mariano Rivera is just a winner. So you got to love pitchers that just come in and close, and they just don't don't choke hardly at all. Some of those names I mentioned, like Clayton Kershaw, the complaint with him is he always struggled in the World Series in the big games. So. I just like, as much as the statistics matter in baseball, you also got to like, just like players that play big in big games. And Mariano Rivera, no one played bigger in big games than he did.
Unless he was playing the Marlins. I gotta just say that. I cannot believe. I remember watching that series because I was living in Florida at the time, in Fort Lauderdale, and when the Marlins won the World Series, and again, just when you were a Yankee fan, I guess they also had the heartbreak against the Red Sox, but that was like over a 7-game series. But like when Mariano Rivera is on the mound and you're a Yankees fan and your team is up in the 9th inning, you're just like, that's why it's Enter Sandman. It's over. It's curtains. It's blouses. It's game. And for a team or a player or for someone to just kind of shake that 100% certainty, like that's got to be unnerving. That's got to be like, whoa. I mean, it really takes I don't know, some act of God or something to happen for that to be like broken. But yeah, they really they did it. Diamondbacks, Marlins. I mean, just I don't know. It's just it's truly impressive.
Yeah, that's fair. That's definitely
Yeah.
fair.
But other than them, I mean, it's like, man, he just dominated. Okay, Mike. Thank you everyone for being in the chat, saying really kind things. Some things are a little edgy, some things that weren't. I mean, just snickerdoodles. I just hope that that's not code for something really terrible that's going to get me canceled after episode 1. Ryan, you have been awesome too. I'm going to land this plane. Mike says clickers are like chicks. We dog the long ball. Not so much pitching for some reason. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we dig the long ball, I think is what he meant to say. Yep, dig. And then Goat says 100%. You know, we love home runs. We love, you know, it's so funny. We almost like, how much is the MLB is like strikeouts and home runs, kind of like the NBA. It's like 3-pointers or dunks. It's like we're okay with it now, I guess. Just go for it all.
Danny, I've been wanting to ask you. I assume that's a Knicks hat, but what does it say?
Yeah, Linsanity. Yep.
Oh, okay, got it. Nice.
Yep, Linsanity.
Okay.
You know what? Some people have told me to stop wearing hats because I actually have hair. Ryan, you got a good head of hair. I know I'm getting some gray hairs in the back, but you know what? Like, I should probably, yeah, you know what? Maybe for the hobby hangout, you know, it's more important that I have my. I'm gonna have a different drink maybe next week. But Topo Chico, thank you for taking me through to the end of an hour and a half, hour and 40. I thought we were gonna go for a bit at an hour, but Connor and his friends. Who are not doing math homework and playing Rocket League with your son were in the chat. But you guys have been excellent. I could not have asked for a better first episode. I mean, the time just flew by. What do you think, Ryan?
Absolutely, yeah. This was a lot of fun, Denny. You're the master host here, so keep it going. Keep it going. Look forward to tuning in to future episodes, and obviously look forward to working with you on the next show. So
yeah, absolutely. So I'm gonna help with the recycling drop-off center, and you are the sponsor for this, not just episode 1, but maybe not every episode leading up to May 3rd, but you know, we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about the package and all that, but you are gonna be a recurrent sponsor for this podcast, at least in the beginning. So thank you so much for your sponsorship, your friendship, I just want to align myself with good people in the hobby. Again, I've said it so many times that I'll keep saying it in 2025. I just wanted 2025 to be a year of awesome experiences, cool cards, and good people. And you're good people, Ryan.
Yeah, you too. Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and you know, that's why I'm doing. I think that's why you're doing it too. Is, you know, to the relationships and the friendships that build and participating in the hobby. So loving it.
Yeah, that's what it's got to be about. It can't just be about the money, because if you're a flipper and you're just here for the money, just more power to you. But that's not why I'm doing this. So
it's also pretty hard.
There's a lot of easier ways to make money, like fight people in Costco over Pikachu. And no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, no, thank you so much, Ryan. Thank you, chat. Thank you, people who came in on the live. Thank you, the company, whoever. Thank you to whoever the inventor of the recipe of snickerdoodles is. Shout out to you as well. But you all take care of yourselves until next Sunday at 9 p.m. Thank you guys so much for watching.
See you later.